Wrong Turn. This is the reboot of the 2003 Eliza Dushku movie. And yes, it goes to show that this is a crazy time to be alive. Seeing as the first great horror film of 2021 is a remake or a reboot, however you want to look at it, of a movie that's not yet 18 years old. The original Wrong Turn can't even vote yet, and it's being rebooted. I rolled my eyes just like you probably did when you heard that Wrong Turn was being rebooted. The original movie came out in 2003. It was kind of the start of the backwoods sort of era in horror movies. You had Devil's Rejects, House of a Thousand Corpses, Hills Have Eyes, Wolf Creek, and a lot of movies that were about like cannonballs or just, backwoods folk and stuff like that. But Wrong Turn had some longevity. The movie spawned five sequels as recent as 2014. Didn't watch any of them, FYI. But this one, I was very skeptical. I'm like, they are really rebooting Wrong Turn. Don't forget, they also made Cabin Fever, a shot-for-shot remake of Cabin Fever. We all know how much that one sucked. And they also remade Child's Play. There have been a number of really strange choices of movies to be remade, and I cannot get over that they remade Cabin Fever. But as far as remakes, reboots, I don't know what you want to call this. I think it's probably more of a reboot. Wrong Turn delivers. It's written by Alan McElroy, who, fun fact, wrote the original movie. And this is a more mature and substantive movie than Wrong Turn from 2003. For starters, this movie doesn't feature cannibalism or cannibals, which was a big part of the Wrong Turn franchise. And I think that's going to upset very few people. But I'm very glad they didn't feature it. As far as the plot goes, it concerns a group of 6 kind of hip, young, diverse, Bernie Sanders supporting hikers that go into the Virginia, and they want to hike the Appalachian Trail to find this old Civil War fort. And they stumble upon this really small town, a lot of backwoods people, rural people, for lack of a better term, who warn them to stay on the Appalachian Trail. Well, like in any good horror movie, they don't listen worth a damn. They go off the trail, and they wind up in this mountainous region of the Appalachians. And essentially, then, they stumble upon this community known as the Foundation that was started in the late 1800s. It's this self-sufficient community who lives in the Appalachian Mountains, and they've completely divorced from society. So this group of these very 6 young liberal characters, there's an interracial couple, there's a gay couple, it's the most diverse, politically correct group of individuals you can possibly describe. We all went to liberal arts colleges. We know these people. But anyway, they wander off the trail, and they wind up encountering traps set by the Foundation. And they wind up getting kidnapped and taken to the Foundation, this sort of closed compound that's run by these people who are covered in moss and animal skulls and everything. This movie's very similar to the Green Inferno, Eli Roth movie, which is very good if you haven't seen it. It's very similar. The film posits these young liberals with their own beliefs in contrast with the rural folk who they claim is racist and close-minded. The tension is palpable early on. The group pisses off another group of barroom locals in the movie, or in the town of Virginia. And then the trail is their introduction to the ways of life of these Appalachian Foundation group. And it's really ultimately a survival test at the end of the day. Subtext aside, there's not lost at all the bloodshed and the brutality. This is a gross movie in some scenes. It's gory, it's bloody, it's violent. I mean, the first big murderous set piece involves a giant rolling tree trunk down a mountain that plummets right towards these hikers. And it doesn't a lot to the imagination in terms of gore. But McElroy has more on his mind, though, this time around, writing reboot of Wrong Turn. than just kills. He eliminates that cannibal angle from the story, which again will upset some, I think, but it grounds the film in a more believable other reality that's not so cartoonish. Because if you remember the original Wrong Turn, it was about a group of hikers stumbling upon a group of cannibals in the wilderness who were disfigured and horrid looking because of years of inbreeding. It was a very crass premise, and it was a very crudely drawn premise too. This movie, I don't want to say realistic, but it posits a nice little moral quandary in the middle of everything. Because outside of this, one of the hikers, Jen, played by Charlotte Vega, her father is searching for her. He's played by Matthew Modine. And he's looking forward. He's trying to garner information on the Foundation in efforts to find his daughter. And this movie has an utterly diabolical ending, too, that I did not see coming. I have to mention this, too. Diabolical, ugly ending that I was all there for. It was hard not to be cynical going into this movie, considering other useless remakes, like I just mentioned, Cabin Fever, which I still can't get over that they remade, and Child's Play, and a lot of other. I mean, when you start remaking movies that were released 18 years ago, like, that's a problem in a way. But I'll say this. This is different. Wrong Turn is different. It's bloody. It's got some good subtext to it. I think it's very well acted. I think Bill Sage, who plays the leader, kind of the leader of the Foundation, I think he's very good. Charlotte Vega's game from the first scene. She gives this really kind of dirty physical performance in it. I had a lot of fun with this. It's gross. Don't watch it on an empty stomach. I'm as surprised as you, gentlemen. I don't know who I turned into, but I'm giving Wrong Turn 3.5 out of 4 stars. This was really good. It is the first great horror film of 2021. You can rent it on Amazon Prime Video, Google Play, and Vudu. It's not $20. Thankfully, it's only $6, I believe. Check this one out. You might be surprised, and I think Mike P. Nelson, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I think Mike P. Nelson, in some aspects of the world building he does with the Foundation, same with McElroy, who wrote the movie, some of the world building elements and some of the bodily horror, I think he took a page out of Ari Aster's blueprints in terms of how to make this really pop. I like this movie a ton. That's why we didn't have a ton of topics today, and I didn't foresee talking about the Wrong Turn reboot on Sleepless with Steve, but that's how good it is. Check that out. You can rent it now on a variety of different platforms.